So guys, this is kind of like a part two. I want to explain on what I've learned from the few months that I've done sprouts and how I can improve my system and the tips and tricks that I use to get better yields so that you guys can get the best yields possible. So this is after a couple days. You can see it's almost at the level I feed it. It actually starts producing or starts getting moisture out of the air on the actual stalks after a couple days. It's kind of incredible. But one thing I have learned, and you'll see on my corners, you see how it's kind of not growing well here? One of the issues I have with these containers is they're too high. So what happens is you get shade there, just like a shade tree, and you don't have the growth in the corners like you'd like. So if I was to do this again and I was to start over, I would make it so that it was a very low profile container so that you don't have shade spots. It makes a big difference. I move them around and kind of shuffle them a bit, but you still can't really get around these corners on losing or not having it as efficient in the corners. So my number two tip is newspaper. One of the things I noticed from guys producing it is they would have something to cover I think it's because it kind of creates it like ground, or it kind of works kind of like the ground, so it insulates it and allows the seeds to not feel the temperature losses as much. And they were using black cloth where I saw, and I thought I was looking for a cheap alternative because black cloth I don't have it here, so I thought about it and I started using newspaper, and newspaper seems to have worked really well. If you can see, you see the little white hairs. It seems to work well, and that's kind of stage two here. I have two here that are doing that. Same with this one here. This one's a little farther ahead, and now those hairs have started producing grass, and it puffs up. And I always kind of got shocked, or it threw me back a little bit seeing that it puffs up that much because the root growth becomes so massive on them. So that's number two. Number three would be that you have to let these soak for 24 hours. What I do is I put the water in and I just leave it overnight, and I don't touch it until the same time the next day, and then that way it seems to help them sprout a little bit more. I know when I first did it and I just kind of did it within 6 hours or something like that, it didn't seem to allow them to germinate as well as if I just left it in there for a longer period of time. It didn't seem to work as well. And the last tip, number 5, is water. I know myself, when I first tried growing these things, I thought that I could just throw barn water in it because I was just doing them inside inside our dairy barn there, and I thought I'd just throw barn water in there, and it's from ponds, so it's not super clean, and it did not germinate at all. You have to have clean water to do this properly so that you get any type of consistency or success. I know what I like to do for water is I like to, let's say I was doing it for 24 hours. Within 12, I would empty out the water and I would put clean water in. I think it removes the yeast, I believe, because when it comes out, it's kind of foamy. And you want to just keep getting everything off the seeds and allowing it to clean it out. And you can see here, I just did this for let's see if I can show it here. If you guys can see the little dots floating on the top, anything that floats isn't really going to germinate. So it's kind of a good way too, when you keep cleaning out the water, to take off any of the dead seed that's not going to work anyway. So I like that. I like just keeping it clean. It seems to keep the mold down. I know that's one of the things you're always fighting when you produce sprouts, is trying to keep mold and mildew down. Sterilizing your containers is a big thing. Making sure that after you use them, that you sterilize them. That way you don't, because what happens is hopefully there's none here. You can't, nope, we're good. But isn't that cool though, how thick the roots are in that? Like I can pick it up like a one piece. Roots or mold is the big thing that a lot of people can struggle with. And one of the tricks that I saw in other people's videos is I saw them using fans to keep the air circulating, because in nature you don't really have that issue because the air circulates and mold and mildew don't really have a chance to sit on the roots. Where here, where there's water and stuff, it does have a chance. And I like to make sure I empty out all, like, make sure when you're watering these things once a day that you're emptying out a lot of the water, so that way it doesn't have a chance to really do to cause mold and have that issue. But yeah, guys, those are my 5 tips to really make sprouts more profitable and more of an option.
On that note, guys, I'll let you guys go. Thanks again for watching. Feel free to comment, rate, and subscribe. And one other thing, if you guys are from, actually anybody, I'd love to hear where you guys are watching my videos from. It really interests me on how far YouTube can reach. So in the comments below, feel free to let me know where you guys are watching from. It doesn't have to be exact or anything like that, just to have an idea. I think it's really cool seeing people be able to connect on a common thread like farming from anywhere in the world. Because I do see, and I go through the analytics, and I think it's very interesting to see people watching my videos in Europe or even Eastern Europe. I've seen Asia a little bit, most of it in the States. So I'd love to hear. Thanks again for watching, guys. Feel free to comment, rate, and subscribe as always.